One of the most talked about characters in the Frozen franchise has only ever appeared by name in the movies, and that was when Olaf called out for Samantha. Theories about who Samantha was have been thrown out there, and while a lot of them seem interesting, none of them seem to compare to the idea that Samantha was the name of the sixth element. And though fans will have to wait until the highly anticipated release of Frozen 3 in order to see how this theory holds up, if it proves to be true, it might also reveal a secret truth about Ahtohallan. While it might have brushed off as a joke at first, there is a chance that when Olaf called out to Samantha, he was actually calling out to another elemental spirit that the movie didn't fully reveal. Frozen 2 introduced fans to a whole slew of elemental spirits that showed no sign of existing within the first movie, which has some fans wondering what they might reveal in the recently announced third installment to the franchise. Honestly, it wouldn't be surprising to learn that there is at least one, if not more than one element that hadn't been highlighted yet. And according to this theory, Samantha was one of those spirits, specifically the lightning spirit. You see, when Frozen 2 first introduced the various elemental spirits, there were originally only 4. There was Nock, the water spirit that took on the shape of a majestic horse made out of its element. Then there was Bruni, the adorable but chaotic fire salamander. Gale represented the wind, and lastly, the massive rock creatures known as the Earth Giants. And as far as the people of Northuldra who worship these spirits, those were the only 4. But as Frozen 2 showed, they realized after they met Elsa that they obviously miscounted. Elsa was clearly the Snow Queen, who was meant to represent the 5th element, and it only proved that the people of Northuldra didn't quite know everything about these elemental spirits, which means that there could be even more than 5. According to this theory, Samantha was one of those spirits, and if that ends up proving to be true, it could even indicate a deeper secret within Ahtohallan. Now, it should be pointed out that in Frozen 2, when Anna and Elsa first made it to Northuldra, they came across 4 standing stones that each had a symbol on them that represented one of the 4 original elements: fire, water, earth, and air. While this might initially come off as evidence that there wasn't a 6th spirit, that can't be the case, because there also wasn't a stone for Elsa, who was definitely supposed to be the ice spirit. That implies that when the 4 standing stones were made by the people of Northuldra, they either didn't know about the other spirits or the other spirits didn't exist yet. This brings up the next point in the theory to consider, which is the idea that when Elsa, the 5th spirit, was created, she was only one of the multiple elemental spirits that came into existence that day. If the ice spirit didn't exist until Elsa's birth, there is no definitive way to say that other elemental spirits couldn't be created or weren't created at the same time. And though the people of Northuldra never mentioned the lightning element, they also never claimed to know that an ice spirit existed before they met her. This means, even though it's still only a theory, there is a chance that the lightning spirit exists, and there would be no better character to claim that title than the elusive Samantha. On top of the fact that Samantha's existence as the lightning spirit is possible, it would also explain why the rest of the elemental spirits began to go crazy. You see, when there were only 4 spirits, they would have been able to balance each other out. Water and fire would have opposed and contrasted with each other, while earth and air would have done the same. But when the Frozen universe decided to add more elemental spirits into the world, according to this theory, the balance between the current 4 broke. And that is why in Frozen 2, all of the spirits were shown to be acting strange. Bruni was running around like a chaotic mess, lighting everything around on fire. And Nock was on a murderous rampage and was attempting to drown any poor soul that happened to come across it. And as the movie showed, the only way for any of the enraged spirits to be calmed down was for them to be paired with their opposing spirit as they had once been. But with icy Elsa and sparky Samantha potentially joining the mix, their opposites all shifted slightly. According to this theory, the only pair of spirits that managed to stay together were the Rock Giants and Gale, the Wind Spirit. And while you could say that the Rock Giants were a bit moody, it's more likely that they're territorial. It didn't seem like they were going out of their way to hurt anyone in Frozen 2. But if you happened to cross their path, much like a moose, the giant was going to take you out. Now, the 2 that really got thrown out of balance were Bruni and Nock, who used to keep each other in check. However, if this theory is true, with the addition of the 2 new spirits, they both would have had different opposing elements. As far as Bruni was concerned, Frozen 2 showed viewers that his opposite had become ice, which he came into contact with when Elsa was finally able to get a hold of him. The ice cooled Bruni down, and for as long as he stood by Elsa's icy side, he remained balanced. Nock, on the other hand, was a different story entirely. In fact, Nock might be the biggest proof that a 6th element exists within the Frozen universe. And if this theory is right and the element turns out to be a lightning spirit named Samantha, then there might also be deeper ties to the spirits and Ahtohallan that have yet to be seen. Nock was shown to be the most vicious out of all of the elemental spirits, and that might have been because of his connection to Samantha. According to this theory, when the balance between the elemental spirits shifted, Nock needed the lightning spirit to find balance, and when that wasn't possible, the water spirit rampaged throughout the Dark Sea. When Frozen 2 fully introduced Nock, it was in one of the scariest scenes scenes in Disney history. The shot of Elsa struggling to get to the surface and then looking down into the dark abyss, only to see Nock coming up towards her from the depths, was like something straight out of your worst nightmares. But after reviewing that scene over and over again, there are actually some really interesting details that sort of connect Nock to a potential lightning spirit. During the spirit's daring battle with the Snow Queen, when Nock first appeared, it was in a flash of lightning. And then, just as quick as he appeared, he disappeared in a flash. This was Nock's pattern throughout the entire battle, and almost every single time that the rampaging spirit appeared, it was in sequence with a flash of lightning. And while at first this may seem like just great directing and Disney's way of adding more suspense to an already terrifying scene, according to this theory, there might be more to it than that, and the use of lightning flashes was Disney's way of indicating that the lack of a lightning spirit was what threw off Nock's inner balance. That's where Samantha, the supposed lightning spirit, would come into play after she finally makes an appearance, of course. And for fans who are wondering why Elsa was able to calm Nock down if she wasn't his opposite, the answer is simple. Elsa didn't necessarily calm the spirit down or even tame it. She simply used her powers to control it, which is why it ran back into the sea after she released it. It was likely still in its rampaging state and still unbalanced. And if this theory is right, then the unbalance came from the missing sixth spirit, Samantha. Olaf might have also had a special connection to Samantha, which is why he knew her name even though he laughed it off to himself. If this theory proves to be true, and Samantha does turn out to be the sixth spirit, then there is a good chance that she would be connected to Elsa, not only because she was an elemental spirit as well, but also because they potentially came into existence at the same time. And as Olaf explained to Elsa in Frozen 2, water can contain memories, which were later shown when Anna and Elsa used the water that was trapped in their parents' ship to finally learn how they died. Well, since Olaf is made out of frozen water, then he would likely be made up of memories that belong to Elsa since she made him. And according to this theory, that means Olaf might share the same connection with Samantha that Elsa does. That's why he listed her name with all of his friends. It was a Freudian slip. The little snowman likely didn't even know what he was doing when he said it, and that's why the name Samantha confused him. But it clearly showed that he had a connection to Samantha, likely because he was created by Elsa, which in a way supports the idea that she was the sixth elemental spirit. One of the biggest questions that the theory hasn't answered yet was where Samantha was hiding, although when you find out, you might be shocked at how mind-blowingly obvious it was. You see, Samantha didn't make an appearance in Frozen 2, because during the majority of the movie, the lightning spirit was hiding away in Ahtohallan, waiting to be freed by Elsa. You see, much like Elsa in this theory, Samantha was created as the lightning spirit, and when she came into existence, she was just as confused and afraid as Elsa was when she discovered her powers. And due to the imbalance in the world, it would make sense for the spirit to remain where it felt safe and secluded from the rest of the world, in Ahtohallan. However, the cool thing about this theory is that with the way Frozen 2 ended, Elsa essentially became the voice of the spirits, and in doing so, she could have freed Samantha the lightning spirit from Ahtohallan, and could possibly even meet her in Frozen 3. Who do you think Olaf was referring to when he called out for Samantha? Make sure you let us know in the comments down below.